Let the punishment fit the crime. Today I will be talking about the death penalty and why it should be legalized in all 50 states. The death penalty should be legalized nationally because the death penalty is constitutional, it serves as a retribution, and it deters crime. First, I will begin with why it is constitutional. The death penalty is constitutional because it was upheld in the Supreme Court. According to procon.org, the Supreme Court said, "Indeed, the decision that capital punishment may be appropriate sanction in the extreme cases is an expression of the community belief that certain crimes are themselves so grievous affront to humanity that only adequate response may be the penalty of death." Therefore, the death penalty is not cruel nor unusual punishment, and it is constitutional because the Supreme Court abides by the laws of the Constitution and makes sure the laws are upholding the Constitution and what the framers intended it to be. Most people say that it isn't constitutional due to the 8th Amendment, which states no cruel, unusual punishment. The death penalty is not cruel or unusual punishment because, first, it is not cruel because the death penalty involves 3 shots. The first shot puts them into a deep sleep. Therefore, they cannot feel any of the pain inflicted upon them with the next 2 shots. The second is it is not unusual. The reason it is not unusual is because the death penalty has been around since the 1800s. For a long time, the death penalty has been around since people have been around, basically, essentially. The death penalty, according to procon.org again, states Teddy Roosevelt in 1858 that states, "The pacifist is surely a traitor in his county as the wrongdoer." This means Teddy Roosevelt is saying that you cannot stand by and watch these criminals not get punished for the actions that they have committed. Basically, they need to be punished, and they need to be punished fairly, and they need to be punished in order to protect and keep the community safe. Now that I have talked about why the death penalty is constitutional, I will move on to why the death penalty serves as retribution. First, the death penalty serves as retribution because it is justified by the criminal's actions. The criminal had chosen to commit a crime. Basically, in the death penalty, the judges are not sentencing criminals to death for small petty crimes. They are sentencing criminals to death who have committed heinous crimes and, like Teddy Roosevelt said, grievous crimes. Therefore, these criminals deserve this, and this is their punishment. Therefore, that is why it is justified in the criminal's action. Also, most criminals find prison as kind of almost like a vacation. They find it as like a vacation because there's 3 square meals, they sit around, watch TV, they got a bed, they don't pay for anything. And so jail to them almost isn't a punishment. It's almost as if they're getting away free and nothing's really happening to them. So the death penalty is more a retribution because, the death penalty is more as a retribution because it is actually punishing the criminal for the action that they have committed. Next, it eases the pain for the victim family. It eases the pain for the victim family because the victims are distraught. They have been, something has happened to them, murdered, whatever, that inflicts pain upon either themselves or their families, friends, anybody in the community, really. So it eases the pain for the victims and the victims' families because they know that these people got what they deserved there and that the punishment fit the crime, basically. Also, the death penalty dismisses any chance of the criminal being released from prison. There are such cases as life without parole, which means they cannot get a chance to get out of prison, basically. But the retribution the death penalty basically enforces this in a sense because once they're executed, it's done. So it really eases pain for the victims' families because they know that nothing bad will happen. Now that I have talked about why the death penalty is constitutional and why it serves as retribution, I will talk about why it deters crime. The death penalty is a deterrent for crimes because it kind of enforces that you can't get away with things, basically, in a sense. That there are repercussions for your actions, and these repercussions are death. And so this is kind of almost an incentive for criminals to step back and say, I'm not gonna do that crime. Also, it's a deterrent for crime because if the death penalty is in place, then that means we can create educational systems that teach about the death penalty and how you can be sentenced to death, what the repercussions are, who can get sentenced to death, why, and more things like that. So teaching, especially at a young age, teaching and bringing this punishment into play and informing kids about this really deters people from trying to commit this crime. So, because the death penalty is constitutional, it serves as a retribution, and it deters crime, it should be illegal in all 50 states. I challenge you to be open-minded, to think about the crimes that these criminals have committed and the pain that they have inflicted. I challenge you to think about the death penalty and why it should be legal in the United States. Thank you.